Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So, this is Ben's album challenge for Sunday night. So, Ben has given me, first of all, for those of you who don't know what Ben's album challenge is Ben is a subscriber of mine who gives me an album once a week to review, pick out a favorite song, and talk about the album. And that's what I do. So today we are doing an Italian progressive rock band called Alphataurus, and this is a self-titled album released in 1973. So I've listened to the entire album. It's good. I like it. Of course, there's a language barrier because it's all in Italian, but the vocals are pretty strong on this album. I think he's very frontal. He doesn't have a really high range or really low range, a pretty medium range voice, but strong nevertheless. Clear, very easy to understand. The album overall sounds a bit dated. You can tell it's from that early 70s period, so the album production's a little subdued here. Not terribly so though, but definitely can tell it's from that period of time. Guitarist is pretty good, does little bits here and there, has some heavy riffing on occasion throughout the album, does some little solo bits. He doesn't really do any of these kind of solos that you might expect to hear where the music kind of slows down and the guy does a ripping solo. He doesn't do that kind of thing. He just kind of picks his way through little fills here, little fills there, little bits here, little bits there. But really, really tastefully done. None of it sounds out of place at all. Keyboard is pretty much the same. He's a little more dominating though. Does do his solos here and there. And he creates a lot of the atmosphere of the album. The album has that kind of spacey kind of feel to it at times. Not all the time. It's not dominated by that space element. It's not like Hawkwind or Eloy or anything like that. But it does have some of that element in it. His synthesizers, of course, create that monstrous kind of atmospheric, kind of symphonic feel at times during the album as well. There is a little bit of psychedelia here, not a ton, just bits and pieces here and there throughout the album. I wouldn't call this a psychedelic album at all. It's definitely a kind of space rock, kind of progressive rock type album. Drummer is very good too. He has his parts. He's pretty frontal, very noticeable. Does a lot of rolls. Has some really good parts here and there throughout the album, and kind of supports the heavy riffing parts that go on quite a bit. Bass player is not so noticeable. I don't actually remember hearing much from him, other than he probably supports the rhythm section fairly well, because it's pretty thick. There's not a thin sound to it. It's a little bit thick on the thick side, although it's a bit dated, which I find these dated albums from the early 70s by some bands sound a little thin, like they don't have the power or the fullness that you would come to expect from some albums that you enjoy quite a bit. So anyways, of course the album's all in Italian, so I will do my best not to bastardize this language. Pretty strong. Only 5 tracks on the album in total. I liked all of them. The lowest I gave was a 6. One particular song is my favorite, and we'll get to that when it's the 4th track. So the first track is called Peccato d'Orgoglio. Peccato d'Orgoglio. And I apologize, I'm not Italian. I have Italian friends, lots of them, but they always say that I'm terrible, keep speaking English, and don't bother. Okay. Yeah, the vocals are clear on this song, really clear. The song is actually subdued at the beginning. It starts out in this kind of subdued manner. Almost kind of like it's in a void almost. But very kind of melancholy a bit. A little bit of a melancholy sound to it. There's some nice acoustic parts in this song as well, acoustic guitar parts. Again, it's what I said, little bits here and there, little fills here and there. No huge soloing at all. And the keyboards are, very similar in this aspect on this particular track. So, not a bad track. Second track, Dopo L'Orangiano or Orangiano, if you don't pronounce the L, which I'm not sure if you do. Maybe you do. Very powerful acoustic, what was I going to say about this now? Okay, yeah, it's a very powerful frontal kind of vocal sound to it. Sorry, I wrote something, but I wasn't sure what I meant by it. But now I do. I understand. He's very frontal here on this particular track. Some very heavy riffing guitar on this song too, like almost a hard rock heavy metal sound at points. Drums are catchy with some guitar parts that fit in with the drums. Yeah, it's a pretty catchy tune. I liked it quite a bit. Not my favorite track, but I did like this song quite a bit. The next song was probably the song that I listened to. I'm not as memorable as the other 4 tracks. Got some heavy riffing here, some nice atmospheric synthesizers, and I don't believe there's any vocals on this song. I don't remember hearing anything that was vocally related. But it's a pretty not so memorable. It's probably the least memorable of the tracks. I think it's also the shortest track on the album. Okay, then we get to my favorite song, which is Lamente Viola. I think it's Viola. Very forward and dominant vocals on this particular track. There's some harmony vocals here as well, as I think the background guys get into it a bit and they create a little bit of a harmony vocal part. I think it's the only song on the album that I remember hearing that at all. Very atmospheric sound, lots of synthesizers, lots of keyboards, but dominated, giving that almost symphonic sound. Strong fills throughout the track. Lots of little parts here and there on guitar, on drums, on keyboards. A lot of that. I think the drums. This is maybe the most dominant song for the drums. Lots of fairly forward, kind of heavy drums. If you like lots of rolls and that kind of, this drummer kind of reminds me of Ainsley Dunsbar a bit. He's not as good, but he has that kind of style that suits Ainsley Dunsbar. That's who comes to mind when I hear him playing. What else can I say about this tune? Some strong sounding atmospheric keyboards on this particular track, and there's a little bit of piano that plays throughout the track as well. When he's singing, you'll hear it in the background, and then when he slows down, it comes a little forward. It's very tastefully done. It sounds really good. I like piano if used properly. I don't like piano solos. I don't like songs dominated by piano, but when used appropriately, it's a strong instrument. And that's probably my favorite track. The last track, Ombra Moto or Mota or Mota. Ombra Mota, I'm going to go with. Very frontal vocals here again. He's very forward, very strong, not too high, not too low, right down the middle range. A little bit of cracking in his voice at times. He tries to belt it out a bit. The drums and the riffing, the guitar riffing on this particular track are very dominant, very strong, very forward. probably the most dominant part of this song is the drums and the guitar riffing. Song does get a bit get subdued at points in the song. Towards the middle, kind of lowers down. It's almost like you're waiting for something to happen. That's the feeling I get. Then it picks up towards the midpoint. You get some real heavy keyboards. Lots of keyboard and guitar soloing here, kind of intermittent with each other. This is the one track where you get quite a bit of guitar soloing, and it's really well done. I think the guitarist is very good. The drums are solid here, especially towards the end. He gives us kind of like a drum spiel almost. Yeah, so a very interesting track. I didn't like it quite as much as Lamente Bola. There's a part towards the end where it just kind of sounds like it's over, but there's this kind of noise that's just pervading for another minute or 40 seconds. Seems longer than it is, probably. I'm not really sure what the point is to it because I don't speak Italian, so I don't know what the song is about. So there may be a reason for it that I'm not aware of. But at any rate, solid album. If you like progressive rock, and especially I think if you like American progressive rock, like Kansas and some of the other Echoline, those kind of bands, you will like this. I think you'll like this. It has that very kind of almost jamming, but not. To me, it stops short of becoming a jam. It has those elements that jam sessions have, but it stops short of that. And so you get these little parts that are maybe 20, 30 seconds long where it feels like it's going to work into a jam, and then that kind of drifts into something else. I like that. I think that's tastefully done. It shows that they're thinking about what they're doing. They're trying to create an atmosphere, trying to create something here. It's a very solid band. I definitely want to hear more of their stuff. I don't even know if they have more. Maybe this is just a one-off album. I'm not even sure. I don't know enough about them. But I did enjoy it, and yeah, it was good. Fantastic. So anyways, so there you have it. Alphataurus, their self-titled 1973 album. Italian band, of course. Progressive rock, space rock, a little bit of space rock here, even some hints of psychedelia here and there, and some nice, really good guitar, solid drumming, and a great keyboard and synthesizer atmospheric stuff going on this particular album. So if you did like this, please like and subscribe. It's much appreciated. And we'll be back next Sunday night with another of Ben's Album Challenge. Have yourself a good one. Take care.